Welcome back, friends, to the Modern Phoenix podcast. I am your host, Gervase, and I'm very, very grateful for your time here. This is our first episode that is live on video streaming platforms, of which I'm not absolutely positive which ones we're live on yet, but I'm sure it is linked in all the show notes, and I will find that out before the next episode. That's when you know you have a really amazing team running things for you, and you get to just show up and do your thing, which is this. If you are new here, my hope is that by listening to this podcast episode and every episode of the Modern Phoenix, you drop a little bit deeper into yourself, into your own inner knowing. You walk away from these episodes knowing who you are, what you want, and how to choose yourself and make choices for yourself out there in the modern world that honor and support your authentic expression and all the things that you actually truly deeply desire, if you believed you could have them. And a lot of the reasons we don't believe we can have these things or be the versions of ourselves who is unapologetically authentic is because of our conditioning. And that's why we always start there. And today's episode is no different. We're going to talk about why so many women that I know and work with, and I've been doing this for 11 plus years, okay? And I'm no stranger to being a woman myself, obviously. So many women have this fear that if they are not liked by someone else, that they can't survive. Okay, so the gold standard of being a woman in today's culture seems to be likability. Men don't have to be liked. Men have to be rich. Men maybe have to be powerful, but they don't have to be liked. Women are trying to be rich and powerful and liked all at the same time, because popularity is that core ingrained standard that we take on at a very young age, and then we're conditioned for an entire lifetime to be nice, to be polite, to be charming, to be pretty, to be pleasing to the eye and the ear, and to be pleasing company. Okay, we're taught to take care of everybody else, to anticipate other people's needs, to emotionally tend to all those around us, to clean up other people's messes, and like I said, to do everything a man can do, except with way higher, less tolerant standards. What this looks like from a nervous system lens is hypervigilance. I work with a lot of women who, enter the room with this way of womaning, which is like focused on scanning the room to check how are other people experiencing me, which is really code for what can I do? How can I bend myself into a pretzel to make that person more comfortable, to give that person an impression that I am fill in the blank, the version of me that they want me to be. And this hypervigilance creates a lot of stress in a woman's body, not just in her system, with her hormones, with her mental health, but also just literal pressure and pushing going through her life. And I mean, modern life is already busy. It's already crazy. There's already a lot of stress. My latest stress is that like robots are going to take over the world. And I am like high key stressed about it. Okay. So there's like a million super valid reasons to be stressed already. And then we don't even realize that this hypervigilance on everybody else's comfort level, on everybody else's experience of us, is also ticking up our stress another notch. And also, we're holding it in our nervous systems. We're holding it in our bodies. It's creating patterns of behavior and holding and pushing and fighting and fawning that we don't even have any control over, though we feel bad about ourselves for that. But it's not our fault, because we've literally been conditioned from a super young age to bend ourselves into a pretzel, to be who everybody else wants us to be, at the cost of being ourselves. So let's think about that for a minute. Let's just think about one scenario in your life. For me, when I went to therapy at the age of 18, I walked myself into a therapist's office and I said, how come I feel like I am responsible for everybody in my life and also like I'm letting them down? I felt like I was responsible for both of my parents' happiness and stability. I felt that my choices as their daughter depended on whether they would be okay. I felt like I was emotionally responsible for my siblings. I felt like I was emotionally responsible for anybody I was related to, all of my friends. I had like a hyper dependency on my friends. Like I was so hypervigilant and so busy noticing how other people were feeling and doing, and also focusing on being liked and loved and popular, that I was in a perpetual state of depression, anxiety, or like performing. And so what did it cost me to focus more on how other people were doing and how other people were experiencing me than on my own experience of myself? Well, immediately there's disassociation. And disassociation is not bad or wrong. Okay, this isn't to make any nervous system state bad or wrong or to make it one fixed point. Like, we're all always changing. We want fluid, flexible, responsive nervous systems. We can learn about the nervous system in the body and, the fight responses in so many different ways. But we want to hold this very lightly. We just want to hold this as data. We want to get really curious about this and notice, like, what is my ideal optimum state? I know when I feel totally disassociated that it's costing me my vitality, my pleasure, my connection, my feeling grounded and connected to my inner knowing. And I know what I'm doing it, and it's like, that's helping me right now. Okay, cool. And I can work with all these things, right? Everything is very malleable. Nothing is a forever death sentence. We're not like these self-contrived identities that we think we are. We self-diagnose by listening to a podcast, and then, then we just move through the world consuming content and talking to therapists talking about, I have this thing. I disassociate and that's my problem. No, I really want to invite you to kind of hold this lightly and listen for what resonates for you. Notice the messages and the signals from your body, from your system of like, there's something for me there. I feel a resonance, or I feel a triggering, or I feel an activation response. Okay, cool. It's just all information. It gives us a little bit of guidance on where to go next, what to explore. The point is, what does it cost me? What did it cost me? And what is it costing us to focus more on being liked than focusing on how we ourselves are doing in any moment? It's costing us our peace. It's costing us our connection to ourselves. It's costing our sense of self and that deep, unshakable inner knowing of who the F we actually are. When I started to shift this in my life, and I'm not just like blowing smoke, I'm not just telling you this. When I started shifting my life from looking at myself through the eyes of other people to turning my eyes inward, listening to my body wisdom and my soul voice, connecting to my inner knowing, it changed my life. The level of self-trust and sovereignty that I began to notice in big and little choices that I made was unmistakable. And that's why this matters so much. We think like, what's the big deal? I'm really good at making other people comfortable. Could that be such a bad thing? Yes, and, right? Like, again, holding with nuance. What about when it causes you to abandon yourself? When I abandon me and my authentic expression in favor of who you want me to be, what is the cost? I lose trust in myself. I lose the anchoring in myself. I lose my connection to my inner knowing of what to do next, who I am. My body signals telling me like, I need to pee or like time to rest. Or actually, you've been disassociated for so long, time to like show up for your job today. There's all these big and small ways that our inner knowing, our body wisdom, and our soul voice are always communicating with us and are becoming like credible mentor voices inside of us, guiding us on what is for us and what is not. And any experience that pulls us immediately out of our inner knowing into, I'm going to look at myself through your eyes. I'm going to make sure that I make choices and behave a certain way and become a person that you like, is I lose access to me. I'm talking about inner knowing. I'm using this language because I am running the Inner Knowing Mastermind. It starts April 30th. Okay, so this is not something that it's too late to learn. And this is like the crux of what I teach, because this was my journey home to myself. And this was one of the sticking points. I can come home to myself by getting to know myself on the inside, but wait, I'm going to lose people? Or wait, I'm going to gain new people that didn't look like the old people? Or wait, I'm going to start to disappoint people? I'm going to have some awkward scenarios where I'm misunderstood? Yeah, because guess what? That's just like part of the gig. Part of the gig of being humans in these earth suits, in these awkward relationships on this crazy planet that may or may not be taken over by robots in the next 100 years. Is you're going to be misunderstood. Some people are not going to like you. Some people are not going to get you. Some people are not going to feel comfortable when you are yourself. So let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about what is actually happening in the micro there when who we are makes another person uncomfortable. What is the thing that we are so scared of doing? What are we avoiding? Triggering other people. God forbid a woman trigger someone else. But what is actually happening when we make ourselves responsible for somebody else's experience of us? Okay, two things. One, when I make myself responsible for how, let's say, another woman experiences me, I am taking her power away. I am taking her agency away. Because I deeply believe that each person has the power and agency to change their own lives. I don't say that in like a spiritual bypassy way. I 100% acknowledge and care about privilege and internalized white supremacy and all these internalized isms, as my friend Jane Mattingly calls them, that actually make all of our experiences a little bit different depending on where we are on the ladder hierarchy. Okay, that is a real thing. And also, I really believe that with the right resources and support and community, every person is here to learn their earth lessons. I'm always talking, a lot of my work is based in spiritual psychology. And so it's this idea that when we're triggered, it's an earth lesson. And we all come to earth in these crazy human bodies, souls having a human experience. Our souls come for earth lessons. And every trigger is an earth lesson. And when we rise to the occasion of a trigger, we have this opportunity to gain a little bit more self-awareness, a little bit more self-knowledge, a little bit more like healing, a little bit more embracing our own shadow. These are all concepts, by the way, we're going to talk about in the Inner Knowing Mastermind. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed, don't worry. I also have that thing that can help you. And so when we're going through an earth lesson and I just say, no, don't worry about, oh, you're feeling uncomfortable. Oh, there's like, you're triggered by that. It's bringing up things in you that you don't feel comfortable with. Let me hold it. Let me do it. I'll do it better. This is like the modern woman's favorite thing. You can't do it as well as I can do it. I'll just do it. That's our internalized feminism. Love feminism. I'm obviously a feminist. And also, we are taking other people's power away when we make ourselves responsible for them. Versus, I'm responsible for me and my life and my choices and my healing and my earth lessons, and you're responsible for yours. And so when you're uncomfortable, ooh, that makes me uncomfortable because of the patterns I've developed over time from conditioning. And I'm just going to take a deep breath and check in with my own inner knowing. I'm going to make sure I'm in integrity, I'm in alignment, but I'm not just going to take it from you because I'm uncomfortable with your struggle, because I'm uncomfortable with your discomfort, because I'm taking your power away. And part two, this is all some false bullshit. This is all false security, because a trigger by definition is when someone is triggered by you, it is because you are giving them a reflection of themselves that they don't like or that they feel uncomfortable with. So for example, if someone is triggered by who you are, it is because it is making them uncomfortable with who they are not. If someone is triggered by your choices, it is making them uncomfortable with the choices they're not making. So again, this is crazy because we think we're protecting other people by being who we think they want us to be. But what we're also doing is missing the actual truth of what's happening in relationships, which is if you're uncomfortable with how I'm being, that says something about you. That actually has nothing to do with me. Because we know that like 5 people can have a different experience of one person, right? I often talk about my it's all me framework. This is one of the modules in Inner Knowing, right? It's this idea that like you could have the same life circumstance and experience it 1,000 ways. So is it the life circumstance that is the issue, or is it how you are experiencing it? Not that how you're experiencing anything is the issue, but it's the thing that we can shift. It's the opportunity for change, evolution, healing. Okay, so the same thing with a trigger. If they are triggered by who you are being and they suddenly don't like you, it has nothing to do with you. And I know that might blow your mind, or that might feel like it's not true, so don't worry. Don't worry. I'm going to give you an exercise for this. So here's one thing you can do taking that it's all me framework, let's make this concrete. So you want to feel like you have more permission to be your authentic self, to be not worrying about if people like you or if people resonate or if people are uncomfortable around you. Then start. The first thing is your homework. You're going to start by giving them the same thing that you want. You want permission to be you? Let's see how it feels for you to give them permission to be them. What does that mean? When you are triggered by them, get curious for you. What about her choices or her expression is triggering something or reflecting something in you that you actually feel uncomfortable with? This is the work of being self-responsible and meeting your shadow. It's so critical. It's why we're covering it in the modules inside of the Inner Knowing Mastermind, because we are so uncomfortable with our shadow, but we like to focus on other people and how uncomfortable they are with their shadow. But we can't control other people. Really, that's never going to be an effective route. So we start with me. It's all me. Okay, well, why don't I explore my own triggers? Why don't I explore my own relationship with being uncomfortable in somebody else's presence? Why don't I get curious about what is it about this person or this situation that makes me feel threatened or shrink or intimidated or dominant or whatever? There's no wrong or right. This is all just getting curious, gathering data and information. So once you work through this process of making the way other people make you feel, just simple data about you. How someone else makes you feel is just data about you. Has nothing to do with them. It's going to be a whole lot easier to cultivate all that awareness and data and curiosity and turn it back around. So it becomes easier to then give others their power back and let other people have their own experience of you that you don't need to manipulate, mastermind, overthink, perfect, perform, twist yourself into knots to give them. You just let it go. Just let them have it, because it's for their earth lessons. It's for their evolution. It's for their growth. It's for them to look at their own shadow. And it honestly will be, if they are willing to do the earth school lesson, it will always result in something really, really, I don't want to say like positive, but like eye-opening, right? This is the kind of wisdom that we gain from curiosity and turning the lens inward with self-awareness that you can't gain from just pointing fingers and blaming and being like perfect and likable or not, or just I hate her. We have to leave space for our humanity in relationships of people that we're super close with and that we're not super close with. We're kind of losing this touch with the advent of the tech. We're much more comfortable behind the computer screen, making rash assumptions about other people than being kind of curious in our own experience, in our own felt experience, having an embodied learning experience. That's what I'm calling the Inner Knowing Mastermind, because this is what I think is really missing for the human race if we have any chance to survive the robots, okay? Having this experience where we understand the wisdom and messages of our cells and our tissues and our triggers and our soul voices, because all this learning happens in relationships. Just because you feel uncomfortable every time your husband is mad at you doesn't mean that you should get divorced, right? But this is kind of the crux of cancel culture. And, you know, I'm holding that lightly as well here. And I just want to say that I really believe that the journey into yourself via relationships with other people, like starting with your own felt sense of who you truly are, and then bringing that to relationships with other people and seeing how does it feel when I am focused on being me and I am not so focused on whether or not they like me. What is that like for me? Because the truth is, it doesn't matter if everybody likes you. It matters if you like you. Because you can't like yourself when you are bending yourself into who you think I want you to be. You will have to shrink. You'll have to dishonor your body, feel uncomfortable. You'll have to abandon yourself. You won't have your own back. It creates a lot of shame, a lack of self-trust. We want to bring back the self-trust for the modern woman, for the modern phoenix, who is willing to feel anything at all. Because when you're willing to feel the discomfort of allowing yourself to be disliked, of allowing yourself to feel how you feel and be yourself instead of focusing so hard on controlling the other person's experience of you, you're also going to experience wild, unshakable self-trust. You're going to experience unwavering clarity, clairvoyance, intuition, knowing of what are next steps, what are the right choices for you. It applies to everything. What to eat, what to wear, who to talk to, what business model, to implement. Like all of that gets to be run now through this internal knowing system, this inner filter, because you trust yourself, because you're willing to feel what it feels like to be you. And once you do that and you reckon with the mess of paradoxical things inside of you, you start to have a higher tolerance for humanity in general. Oh, this is just the messy human experience. Oh, nobody is like just one thing. Nobody is universally hated or universally adored. It's all just, we're all multidimensional. We're all evolving. The phoenix is the archetype, and we can hold space for our humanity. And in that place, we can anchor deep back in our own experience and believe the words when we hear them and when we say them to ourselves. It doesn't matter if they like me. It matters that I like me. What does it feel like when I like me? What does it feel like when I'm trusting? What does it feel like when I'm so in tune with my own joy or pleasure or power? And I kind of forget the rest of the world. Oh my God, that is intoxicating. That is addictive. That is something that nobody can ever take away from me. And I can offer it to all of my relationships and to my work and to the world. And I can offer it in these tricky relationships where somebody is triggered by me, but now I'm no longer responding to them, right? I am not taking ownership for their experience. I just like myself so much. I know who I am so deeply. And they feel that. And what is the message they get from my unwavering sense of self? How much I like myself? They feel how much maybe they don't. They feel what's possible. It could be aspirational for another person to go like, wow, I am very triggered by that woman, but it actually feels inspiring to be around her because I know that it's possible for me. That's the idea, that everybody has the power to shape their lives, to change their lives, to rise into their fullest potential. And the only way we do that is by taking ownership and responsibility for ourselves, taking our power back, and knowing who we are and what we want on the inside by tuning into our body wisdom and our soul voice and beginning the journey of coming home to ourselves, of loving ourselves and bringing that version of ourselves to the world, to all our relationships, and just noticing the difference when it's not a perfectly curated image, but it's actually just a real human, the real deal. Let's bring back some real, authentic, messy, gorgeous human interactions, okay? I love you so much. If you want to take this work deeper, the Inner Knowing Mastermind, I believe this is the last week for joining. We start April 30th. It's 8 weeks, 8 modules. Half of each 90-minute call will be an embodied learning experience. So if you go to the sales page, you can see what are the topics, because this is actually the first time ever that I have themes, ladies. I might have some PowerPoints. Like, we're going to go through a curriculum that I think every woman knows to drop out of her conditioned mind into her inner knowing. And the second half of each call will be live coaching, group coaching, Q&A. There will be tons of embodiment exercises, connection with other like-minded modern phoenixes. And it's just going to be so amazing. I'm so excited. I've been working on this it took me about 6 months behind the scenes to bring it to you. So I'm really proud of it. I know that it's going to help so many people to feel comfortable in their own skin, to come home to themselves, to have a felt experience of knowing themselves, liking themselves, and feeling safe and trusting enough to be that version of them out there in the real world, in relationships. I would love to have you join me. All the links are in the show notes. The website is gervasekolmos.com. /inner-knowing-mastermind. If you're not over on Instagram, connect with me there if you have any questions at Gervase Kolmos, or you can shoot me an email anytime, hi@Gervase Kolmos, with any questions about the mastermind, or if you're just like, hey, this triggered me, talk more about it. Can you do a podcast about that? I love hearing from you guys. I know your time is precious. I'm so grateful for this community. Thanks for tuning in. All right. See you in 2 weeks.